Please don't hurt me." The desperate cry echoed from the dusty attic of an old theater. Moonlight pierced through broken window panes, casting dim, hazy streaks on the wooden floor. A young violinist, still clutching her instrument, cowered in a corner, trembling. A large, stern-faced man raised his hand, ready to strike her. The night wind sighed through the tattered velvet curtains, carrying a cold, chilling sound, and not a soul dared to intervene. A calm, resonant voice cut through the tension. "If you want to hit her, you'll have to go through me first." The entire group turned to see just one man, simply dressed, standing silently in the shadows. His hands were lean but strong, his eyes deep but filled with resolve. They had no idea that his appearance would expose a shocking secret about the theater's history, a secret that could change the fate of the city's music scene and her life forever. Ethan Walker, 35, was an architect specializing in historical restoration, as well as a single father. His daughter, Lily, 7, had chestnut brown hair and loved to paint. She always created colorful paintings of an old theater where she dreamed of performing one day. Ethan lived a simple life in a small apartment near the theater, a place filled with Lily's paintings and memories of his late wife, a talented cellist. Clara Sterling, 28, was a famous violinist, born into a wealthy family but seen as a mere shadow of her father. She was considered a musical prodigy but yearned to escape the hollow fame. She always wanted to restore the old theater, where she had beautiful memories with her mother, a renowned ballerina. One night, Clara went to the theater to find a lost piece of music her mother had composed. Upon her arrival, she was cornered by a group of men who managed the property. They had discovered her intentions and demanded she sign a contract to transfer ownership of the theater land, as they wanted to demolish it to build a commercial complex. A large man in the group menacingly raised his hand, forcing Clara to sign. Trembling in fear, she cried out, "Please don't hurt me." Just then, Ethan happened to pass by on his way to retrieve some architectural drawings he had forgotten. He witnessed everything. Without hesitation, he stepped out of the shadows and said firmly, "If you want to hit her, you'll have to go through me first." The tension was thick, and the group backed away, not daring to make a move when they saw the steely resolve in Ethan's eyes. Clara was stunned, unable to believe that a stranger would dare to protect her. After the situation was diffused, Clara thanked him. Ethan simply smiled and replied, "Everyone has the right to be safe." Walking home that night, Ethan's mind drifted to the fear he had seen in Clara's eyes. It reminded him of Lily's nightmares after her mother died, that same helpless terror of being hurt by forces beyond your control. At home, he found Lily fast asleep, a new painting on her desk. This painting was different. It was not just about the theater, but also featured 3 people standing together. Ethan smiled. Even at just 7 years old, his daughter understood that hope was meant for everyone. The next morning, at breakfast, Lily asked, "Daddy, did something happen at work yesterday? You look like you helped someone. What makes you think that?" Ethan asked in surprise. "You have your hero face. It's different from your regular daddy face." Ethan marveled at his daughter's perception. "I just made sure someone stayed safe, sweetheart." "Good. That's what Mommy would have wanted you to do." The mention of his late wife always made Ethan's chest feel tight, but Lily was right. His wife would have been proud that he had stepped in to help a stranger. Meanwhile, across the city, Clara sat in her luxurious office, staring into the distance. She had faced countless difficult situations before fierce board meetings, tense negotiations. But last night was different. She was genuinely afraid, not of losing money or position, but of physical harm. In that moment of terror, a complete stranger had appeared like a guardian angel. No one had ever protected her before. Her family saw her as an asset to be managed. Her colleagues saw her as a competitor to be eliminated. Her supposed friends saw her as a networking opportunity. But this man had asked for nothing in return. He had simply seen someone in danger and acted. Clara found herself staring out at the city, wondering about the man who had saved her. What kind of person would risk their own safety for a stranger? What kind of life produced that level of courage and integrity? For the first time in years, Clara felt curious about someone for reasons that had nothing to do with business. She wanted to understand what made someone willing to stand between danger and a person they had never met. That afternoon, she made a decision that would change everything. She would return to the theater, not as a famous musician, but as a woman seeking to thank the man who had shown her kindness when she needed it most. The next day, Clara found Ethan at a nearby cafe. Awkwardly, she tried to thank him again. Ethan was humble, simply saying he was just doing what anyone should do. Clara was surprised, unaccustomed to talking with someone who didn't care about her status or position. A few days later, Clara returned to the theater and saw Ethan at work. Lily ran over to hug her father, handing him a small piece of paper. "Smile, Dad." Clara sat nearby and listened to Lily talk about her dream of playing music on a big stage. Her heart softened at the child's innocence. In the dusty attic, Clara confided her troubles. Her family's board of directors was forcing her to sign contracts to cover up illegal activities, threatening to strip her of all her rights if she refused. Ethan listened quietly. He then shared his own story about how the abandoned theater made him sad, reminding him of his late wife's unfulfilled dreams. The two sat in silence, looking out at the darkened stage. An unspoken understanding grew between them. One evening, Clara visited Ethan's apartment and noticed the framed sheet music on the wall. Ethan explained, "It was my wife's favorite piece. I keep it there so Lily believes her mother is still here with us." Clara fell silent, remembering her own mother, a woman whose honor had been buried by the family after a scandal. She broke down crying. Ethan didn't offer empty words. He simply placed a blanket gently around her shoulders. In the days that followed, their friendship deepened in ways that surprised them both. Clara found herself looking forward to their conversations more than any business meeting. She started bringing coffee to Ethan during his breaks, learning about his daily routine. Lily always brightened when she saw Clara, immediately sharing her latest paintings. "Why do you always paint music notes?" Clara asked one afternoon. "Because music notes float," Lily explained seriously. "Even when everything else sinks, music finds a way to stay on top." The child's wisdom hit Clara like a revelation. She had spent her entire adult life trying to control outcomes with power and money. But this 7-year-old understood something she had missed. Sometimes you just had to trust that good things could happen. One evening, as they watched an old film about the theater, Ethan said quietly, "She reminds me of her mother. She always believed in the impossible." "Tell me about her." "She was a musician. She spent her days helping young artists pursue their passions, fighting a system that seemed designed to crush them. She used to say that every child deserves someone who will fight for their dreams." "She sounds incredible." "She was. And she would have liked you." "How can you know that?" "Because you're fighting for what's right, even when it costs you everything." That's exactly the kind of person she admired. Clara felt tears she hadn't expected. "I don't feel brave. I feel terrified most of the time." Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing what's right despite the fear. That night, Clara sat in her luxury penthouse, surrounded by expensive furniture, but feeling more isolated than ever. The simple warmth of Ethan's modest apartment had made her own space feel like a beautiful prison. A week later, Lily shyly asked Clara, "Do you want to help me paint the theater tomorrow?" I can teach you how to draw music notes. I'd love that, sweetheart. Good, because I think you need some joy of your own. The next afternoon, sitting on the theater's wooden floor, Clara learned how to paint while Lily critiqued her technique with the seriousness of a master craftsman. Your lines are too loose, Lily observed. The painting has to be strong enough to hold the dream without falling apart. How do you know so much about this? Daddy taught me, he says. Anything worth doing has to be built strong from the start. Clara looked at Ethan, who was watching them with a soft expression. This man had built his entire life around protecting and nurturing his daughter's dreams, even while dealing with his own grief. Clara, Lily said, concentrating on her painting, are you going to be part of our family now? The question caught both adults off guard. Ethan began to redirect his daughter, but Clara spoke first. What makes you think I should be? Because you make Daddy smile differently. And you listen to my theater stories like they're important. And when you're here, everything feels more complete. That evening, after Lily had gone to bed, Clara and Ethan sat on his small couch. I need to tell you something, Clara said quietly. I've never felt safer with anyone than I do with you and Lily. I don't know what that means yet, but I wanted you to know. Ethan took her hand. It means you found a place where you can be yourself instead of who everyone expects you to be. Is that enough? Just being myself, Ethan. Being yourself is more than enough. It's everything. After Clara decided to reveal the truth, the managers on her family's board flew into a rage. They demanded she sign over control of the project to cover up the scandal, but Clara fought back, declaring, I will investigate this properly. I won't sign anything that covers up the truth. That night, Clara went to the theater to verify some documents. She was ambushed by thugs who held a knife to her throat, demanding she sign the contracts. She trembled, backing against a wall, crying out, Please don't hurt me. For the second time in her life, those words escaped her lips. Ethan heard the commotion and rushed over, taking down one attacker with a single punch and pulling Clara away from the knife. A violent fight ensued. Ethan took several hits, blood streaming from his forehead, but he never stopped shielding Clara. Another thug lit a lighter, intending to burn down the theater to destroy the evidence. Ethan charged forward to stop him. Flames erupted violently around them. He grabbed Clara and dove out of the burning building as smoke filled the air and police sirens wailed in the distance. Clara held him tightly, whispering, You just saved my life. The investigation revealed a shocking truth. Members of her own family's board had hired the thugs to eliminate Clara and seize absolute power. The twist was that Clara realized her family was willing to kill her for their own interests. Ethan said, You have two choices. Bow down or stand up. I won't choose for you, but if you stand up, I'll be right here. The aftermath of the attack shook Clara to her core. Sitting in the hospital while doctors treated Ethan's injuries, she stared at the evidence folder the police had given her. Her uncle's signature on payment receipts to the thugs, her cousin's text messages coordinating the attack. Her own family, people who claimed to love her, had tried to have her murdered for refusing to participate in their corruption. How are you feeling? Ethan asked, wincing as a nurse cleaned the cut on his forehead. Like my entire life has been a lie. Not your entire life, just the part where you believed they cared about you more than money. How do you move forward from something like this? How do you trust anyone again? Ethan was quiet for a moment. You start small. You trust one person who has proven they'll protect you instead of use you. Then you build from there. What if I choose wrong again? Then you learn from it and choose better next time. But Clara, you can't let their betrayal steal your ability to love and be loved. 3 days later, Clara held a press conference that sent shockwaves through the art world. She revealed the conspiracy, the corruption in her family's company, and the attempt on her life. The media dubbed it the theater scandal. But Clara didn't care about headlines. For the first time in her life, she was telling the truth regardless of the consequences. Her family's response was swift and vicious. They froze her assets, revoked her access to the company, and launched a public campaign claiming she was mentally unstable. But Clara felt freer than she had in years. The night after the press conference, she sat with Ethan and Lily in their small living room, watching the news coverage of her story. "Are you scared?" Lily asked with the directness only children possess. "Terrified," Clara admitted, but also relieved. "It's like I've been holding my breath for 28 years and finally learned how to exhale." "That's good," Lily said seriously. "Holding your breath for too long makes your face turn purple." Ethan laughed, and the sound made Clara's heart skip a beat. Even in the middle of chaos and uncertainty, this small family had become her anchor. "What happens now?" Ethan asked. "Now I figure out who I am when I'm not trying to be who they wanted me to be." "Any ideas?" Clara looked around the modest living room, at Lily's paintings lined up on the windowsill, at the sheet music that had become a symbol of comfort and protection. "I think I want to be someone who helps people instead of using them. Someone who protects the vulnerable instead of exploiting them. Someone who builds hope instead of destroying it." "Those are good things to be," Lily said, crawling onto the couch beside Clara, "and you can practice with us." That night, after Lily had gone to bed, Clara and Ethan sat on his small balcony overlooking the theater where everything had started. "Are you sure about this?" Ethan asked quietly. "Walking away from everything you've known." "I'm sure about you," Clara replied without hesitation. "I'm sure about Lily. I'm sure about the kind of person I want to become. Everything else we can figure out together. Even if it means starting over with nothing." "Ethan, I've had everything money could buy, and I was miserable. These past few weeks with you and Lily have been the happiest of my life. If that's not everything, I don't know what is." He took her hand, and she marveled at how such simple contact could feel more valuable than all the jewelry she had ever owned. "Then let's build something real," he said. "Something honest, something that can't be bought, sold, or stolen." Looking out at the theater lights reflecting on the dark wood, Clara realized she was no longer afraid of the unknown. For the first time in her life, she was excited about tomorrow, because tomorrow she would wake up as herself, not as a famous violinist or a CEO or a family asset, but as a woman choosing love over fear, truth over convenience, and hope over resignation. A year later, Clara's life looked completely different but felt completely right. She lived in a modest apartment close to Ethan and Lily, near enough to be part of their daily routine while maintaining her independence. Every morning, she woke to a text from Lily with a picture of that day's painting and an update on the weather for their evening walk. Her consulting business had grown steadily. She helped small theater companies improve their operations, finding deep satisfaction in work that actually solved problems rather than just moving money around for the already wealthy. The Hope Fund had become a regional success story. They had helped over 200 young people access music training, and several major conservatories had begun donating equipment and internship opportunities. Most importantly, Clara had learned what family actually meant. Every evening, she joined Ethan and Lily for dinner in their small kitchen where the conversation was about homework and news about the theater, rather than stock prices and corporate strategies. One Sunday afternoon, Lily said, "Clara, do you think you'll marry Daddy?" The question came out of nowhere, as children's questions often do. Clara glanced at Ethan, who was pretending to be very interested in a pigeon. "Would you like that?" Clara asked carefully. "Yes, because then we'd be a real family officially, not just in our hearts." "We're already a real family, sweetheart. Marriage is just paperwork." But paperwork makes it harder for bad people to separate us. The wisdom in that statement took Clara's breath away. This 7-year-old understood security in a way most adults never would. It would have scared me before, she said honestly. But now I think I'd like the paperwork. I'd like the official proof that I belong somewhere. 6 months later, they had the smallest wedding possible. Just the 3 of them, a theater chaplain, and 2 witnesses from the workers' union. Lily served as both flower girl and ring bearer, taking her duties very seriously. Clara wore a simple white dress. Ethan wore his best shirt with the same calm expression that had first made her feel safe. But the most beautiful moment was when Lily insisted on adding her own vows. I promise to keep painting for all of us and to always save room in my heart for my whole family. As they walked home as an official family, Clara realized she had never been happier. She had traded millions of dollars for a small apartment, designer gowns for casual clothes, and a life of luxury for a life of love. It was the best trade she had ever made.